Welcome back to the channel Valuable Coins HD, that brings history, mystery, and money together, one coin at a time. Today, we're shining the spotlight on a classic American coin that many people overlook, the 1968 Lincoln penny with a mint mark. This isn't just any old cent, believe it or not. This humble piece of copper could be worth far more than its face value, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why. Let's rewind for a moment to 1968. America was in a period of transformation. The civil rights movement had brought major societal shifts. Martin Luther King Jr. had been assassinated just a few months earlier. The Vietnam War was reaching a boiling point. Across the country, voices of protest, progress, and passion were echoing through the streets. While the world was changing fast, so was the U.S. Mint, quietly producing coins that would be passed through millions of hands, many of which are still in circulation today, and right there in the middle of it all was the 1968 Lincoln penny. Now, this coin is part of one of the longest-running designs in American currency history. On the front, or the obverse, you'll find the profile of President Abraham Lincoln. This classic design by Victor David Brenner first appeared in 1909 and has become one of the most iconic coin portraits in the world. It represents more than just a monetary value. It stands for freedom, unity, and a nation built on strong leadership. On the reverse, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, which replaced the wheat ears in 1959. The memorial design was detailed and symbolic, showing the very building where Lincoln's memory lives on in stone. If you look closely enough, you can even make out a tiny seated Lincoln inside the memorial. That level of craftsmanship is what makes these coins not only currency, but collectibles. Now, let's talk mint marks. In 1968, the Lincoln penny was struck at 3 different U.S. mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Denver bear a small D under the date, while those from San Francisco are marked with an S. This little letter means a lot to coin collectors. It tells you where the coin was minted and helps track its rarity. Interestingly, 1968 marked the return of the S mint mark on proof coins after a brief hiatus. San Francisco had shifted its focus primarily to producing proof coins for collectors, which were struck with higher quality and sharper details than regular circulating coins. These proof coins are especially valuable if they've remained in pristine condition. Most 1968 pennies you'll find today are worn out, dinged up, or discolored from years of circulation. These coins are common and not worth much. But a few of them, just a few, have survived in stunning condition. Bright red luster, sharp features, untouched by decades of wear and tear. Those are the coins that collectors crave. Even more intriguing are the error coins from that year. A double die, an off-center strike, a clipped planchet, these are mistakes made during the minting process, and they can turn an ordinary penny into a rare and unique collector's piece. Error coins are like finding a fingerprint of history, a glitch in the machine that's worth more than anyone expected. And then there's grading. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, flawless coin. A 1968 Lincoln penny with a high grade, especially one from the San Francisco Mint or a rare proof version, can command an impressive price in the collector's market. So here's the big reveal you've been waiting for. If you come across a 1968 Lincoln penny with a mint mark, and it's in exceptional condition, let's say brilliant uncirculated or even better, and if it happens to be a rare proof or error variety, its value could skyrocket. In fact, one such rare 1968 penny sold for a mind-blowing $77,830. Yes, you heard that right. One single cent worth more than a luxury car or even a down payment on a house. So don't underestimate what you've got in your coin jar, your junk drawer, or your grandparents' old collection. That 1968 penny you've been ignoring might just be hiding a fortune. Check the date. Check the mint mark. And if it looks too good to be true, well, it might just be your lucky day. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of American currency, where the smallest coins can carry the biggest surprises. Get ready to uncover the hidden value behind a coin that might just be sitting in your pocket, forgotten in a drawer, or tucked away in a dusty jar. We're talking about the 1961 Lincoln penny with a mint mark. At first glance, it might seem like any other old cent. It's brown, it's copper, and most people wouldn't give it a second thought. But that's what makes this story so exciting. Because sometimes, the most ordinary things hide the most extraordinary value, and this humble 1961 penny is a perfect example. Let's take a trip back in time. The year is 1961. John F. Kennedy is sworn in as the 35th President of the United States. The Cold War is simmering, the space race is heating up, and the American dream is in full swing. All across the country, people are working, saving, spending, and using pennies like these in their everyday lives. But while most coins were passed hand to hand and eventually worn down by decades of use, a small number of them, very small, were tucked away, saved, preserved. And that makes all the difference. The 1961 Lincoln penny features the familiar face of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. This portrait was designed by Victor David Brenner and has been a cornerstone of American coinage since 1909. It's not just a tribute to one of the greatest presidents in U.S. history, it's also the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, which was a revolutionary idea at the time. On the reverse side of the 1961 penny, you'll see the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of American strength and honor, replacing the original wheat design that appeared on earlier pennies. Look closely and you can actually see the tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial. The detail is incredible, especially for such a small coin. Now here's where things get interesting. Mint marks. In 1961, Lincoln pennies were produced in two main locations, Philadelphia and Denver. The coins minted in Philadelphia don't carry a mint mark. But if you see a small D beneath the date, that means your coin came from the Denver Mint. While millions of these were produced, not all of them are created equal. Most of the 1961 pennies you'll come across today are heavily circulated, showing signs of age, scratches, and wear. These are still pieces of history, but they're usually only worth a cent or two. However, if your 1961 penny has a mint mark and is in pristine, uncirculated condition, with its original red luster and no blemishes, it could be worth far, far more, and that's just the beginning. In the world of coin collecting, rarity and condition go hand in hand. But there's another factor that can launch a coin's value into the stratosphere: minting errors. That's right. Mistakes made during the coin's production, like a double die, an off-center strike, or a clipped planchet, can turn an ordinary penny into a unique and valuable treasure. Error coins are like the unicorns of the numismatic world. They're rare, fascinating, and often worth a lot more than their flawless counterparts. Grading is also critical. Professional coin grading services like PCGS and NGC assign a numeric grade to coins based on their condition. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. A grade of MS 65 or higher means the coin is in near-perfect condition. Combine that with a rare error or exceptional mint luster, and you've got something truly special. Now, let's talk numbers. There was one specific 1961 Lincoln penny with a mint mark that stunned collectors when it went up for auction. It had been beautifully preserved for over 60 years. Its details were crisp, its color vibrant, and it may have even carried a subtle error that made it even more desirable. And when the final gavel dropped, it sold for an incredible sum. That penny was worth a jaw-dropping $81,350. Yes, you heard that right. One single cent. One tiny copper coin from 1961, worth more than most brand-new luxury cars, or even a college education. So next time you're sorting through loose change or helping a relative clean out an attic, don't overlook the pennies, especially those from the early 1960s. You never know what kind of treasure you might be holding. Today, we're diving into the story of a coin that millions of Americans have seen, used, and probably forgotten, but for some lucky individuals, that tiny piece of copper could turn out to be a hidden goldmine. That's right, we're talking about the 1971 Lincoln penny with a mint mark, one of the most fascinating and sometimes shockingly valuable coins in American pocket change. It might sound hard to believe, but a coin that's only worth 1 cent on paper could be worth thousands in real life. If that surprises you, you're in for a treat, because this isn't just a story about money, it's a story about history, rarity, and the unexpected treasures hiding in the most ordinary places. Let's rewind to 1971. The United States was in a transitional phase. Richard Nixon was in the White House, the Vietnam War was still raging, and the first email had just been sent. Technology was evolving, and the country was both modernizing and wrestling with big social and political changes. But while the world was watching television and listening to music on vinyl, something much quieter was happening at the U.S. Mint. Millions of Lincoln pennies were rolling off the presses, each one carrying the legacy of a great president and the possibility of becoming a collectible icon. The 1971 Lincoln penny features the classic image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. The same portrait first introduced in 1909 by Victor David Brenner to honor the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. It's a coin design that's become a symbol of American values, leadership, resilience, and unity. On the reverse side, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, a design that replaced the original wheat ears back in 1959. What makes this reverse so special is that with a close enough eye, and maybe a magnifying glass, you can actually see the statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial. It's a detail that's often overlooked, but one that speaks volumes about the care and craftsmanship that went into even the smallest coins of the era. Now let's talk about mint marks. In 1971, Lincoln pennies were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Denver have a small D under the date, and those from San Francisco have an S. These mint marks might seem minor, but for collectors, they make a major difference. Mint marks tell us where the coin was struck, and sometimes, how rare it is. The S mint mark, in particular, is usually found on proof coins, which were made specifically for collectors with a much higher level of detail and quality. Most of the 1971 pennies out there were used and abused. They passed through hands at grocery stores, coffee shops, vending machines, and gas stations. Many have been worn down, scratched, and discolored over the decades. But a tiny percentage, just a handful, managed to avoid the wear and tear of circulation. These are the coins that collectors dream of, uncirculated, mint state, and shining with that original reddish copper glow. Even more exciting are the error coins. Every now and then, something goes wrong during the minting process. It could be a double die, where the design appears slightly doubled due to a misalignment. It could be an off-center strike, a clipped planchet, or even a transitional error involving the wrong metal composition. These rare mistakes create one-of-a-kind coins, and collectors will pay big money to get their hands on them. If you think you have a special 1971 penny, the first thing to do is check its condition. The value of any coin is heavily dependent on how well it has been preserved. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC assign grades from 1 to 70. The closer a coin gets to 70, the more perfect and valuable it becomes. Combine that high grade with a rare mint mark or an error, and suddenly, a penny isn't just a penny anymore. So what can one of these coins actually be worth? Well, believe it or not, one very special 1971 Lincoln penny with a mint mark, preserved in superb condition, and possibly featuring a rare error, stunned the numismatic community when it was auctioned. After a wave of competitive bids, the final selling price left everyone in awe. That coin sold for a jaw-dropping $70,950. That's right. $70,950. For a coin that most people would never even bend down to pick up off the ground. So if you've got a collection of old coins sitting in a drawer, or even just a handful of change in your car's cup holder, it might be time to take a second look. You never know what treasure is hiding in plain sight. The 1971 Lincoln penny with a mint mark might be common to some, but to the right collector, it could be priceless. Today, we're diving into the story of a penny that looks humble, feels light, and is often overlooked, but under the right conditions, it can become a jaw-dropping treasure. We're talking about the 1970 Lincoln penny with a mint mark. Now, at first glance, it may not seem like much. It's a copper coin, worn by time, passed through the hands of thousands of Americans over the years. It probably bought a few pieces of candy, helped cover a sales tax difference, or sat in a forgotten change jar for decades. But this little cent, if it has the right features, can be worth far more than you'd ever expect. So let's turn back the clock and take a closer look. The year was 1970. The Beatles were disbanding, the US was deeply involved in the Vietnam War, and American culture was shifting dramatically. It was a time of protest, change, and innovation. And while all that was happening, the United States Mint was quietly producing millions of coins that would make their way into daily life. One of those coins was the 1970 Lincoln penny, familiar to all, yet rare in its most pristine and unusual forms. The obverse of the 1970 penny features the well-known image of President Abraham Lincoln, a design originally created by Victor David Brenner in 1909. It was a tribute to Lincoln's 100th birthday, and it was the first time a real person appeared on a U.S. coin. That design has since become iconic, instantly recognizable to every American. On the reverse side, you'll see the Lincoln Memorial. This design replaced the classic wheat ears in 1959 and remained until the new shield design debuted in 2010. What many people don't realize is that the Lincoln Memorial reverse also includes a tiny rendering of the statue of Lincoln himself, so detailed, you'd need a magnifying glass to truly appreciate it. Now, the part that really gets collectors excited, the mint marked at IN 1970, the Lincoln penny was minted in 3 locations, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia version has no mint mark, while coins from Denver have a small D beneath the date, and those from San Francisco carry an S. It's that tiny mint mark that can make a huge difference. For example, proof coins, struck with exceptional care for collectors, were primarily made in San Francisco. And a 1970 S-proof penny with certain rare characteristics? That's where the value can skyrocket. Let's talk about those rare characteristics. First, condition is king. A circulated coin, one that's been scratched, dulled, or damaged, isn't going to fetch top dollar. But a coin in mint state, especially with its original red copper luster, can be incredibly valuable. These are coins that were preserved right from the start, perhaps stashed away in a collection or never even handled. They retain their original shine, their sharp detail, and none of the damage that years of circulation can bring. Then there are the errors. Error coins are some of the most fascinating and sought-after pieces in the collecting world. These include double dies, where part of the design appears to be stamped twice, slightly offset, or off-center strikes, where the coin isn't aligned properly during minting. There are also rarities like coins struck on the wrong planchet or with clipped edges. When a 1970 penny has one of these rare errors and it's in excellent condition, that's when collectors start pulling out their wallets. There's also a famous variety from this year that collectors talk about, the 1970 S small date and large date variations. The small date version is rarer and harder to find, especially in proof condition, and that alone can dramatically increase its value. Grading services like PCGS and NGC are critical in determining a coin's worth. They inspect coins under magnification, assess their color, luster, sharpness, and surface preservation, then assign a grade from 1 to 70. Coins that grade above MS 65 or PR 65, for proofs, are considered extremely high quality, and extremely desirable. Now comes the part you've been waiting for. Just how much can a 1970 Lincoln penny with a mint mark be worth? Well, in one extraordinary case, a 1970 penny, featuring a mint mark, preserved in pristine condition, and boasting a rare feature, made headlines at auction. Its grade, its condition, and its rarity combined to push it far beyond the realm of pocket change. That single penny sold for an unbelievable $63,930. Yes, you heard that right. 1 cent, one tiny copper coin, was worth $63,930. It's enough to change someone's life, or at least pay for a brand new car, a year of college tuition, or a very impressive addition to any coin collection. So the next time you're sorting through your spare change, or flipping through that old coin album you inherited from a grandparent, take a moment. Look closely. You might just be holding a piece of history, and a surprisingly valuable one at that. Today, we're traveling back to a time when disco was on the rise, the Vietnam War was drawing to a close, and gas cost less than 40 cents a gallon. That's right, we're heading to the year 1973 to take a closer look at one of the most overlooked coins in American circulation, the United States 1-cent Lincoln penny from 1973 with a mint mark. Now, you might be thinking, it's just a penny. But as we've shown time and time again on this channel, sometimes the smallest, most unassuming coins can turn out to be hidden treasures. And the 1973 Lincoln penny is no exception. Stay with us, because by the end of this video, you'll discover just how valuable this common-looking coin can really be. Let's start with some history. In 1973, the United States was going through big changes. The country was still adjusting to the social revolutions of the 1960s, and technology, politics, and pop culture were all evolving rapidly. Amid this cultural backdrop, millions of 1-cent coins were being minted to support America's growing economy, but while most of these pennies were intended for circulation and daily use, bought candy, paid taxes, and clinked into piggy banks, not all of them are created equal. Some were made with unique features, rare variations, and pristine conditions that make them incredibly valuable today. The obverse, or front, of the coin continues the long-standing design of President Abraham Lincoln's profile, a design that had been in use since 1909. This timeless portrayal, created by Victor David Brenner, was the first time a real person appeared on U.S. coinage. And even decades later, Lincoln's image remains iconic, symbolizing unity, strength, and resilience. On the reverse side, the 1973 penny features the Lincoln Memorial, an image introduced in 1959 to replace the wheat ears design that had been featured on earlier pennies. If you look closely, you'll actually see a tiny statue of Lincoln inside the memorial, one of the few coins to feature a person within a person. Now, about that mint mark. In 1973, these pennies were produced at 3 mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The coins from Philadelphia carry no mint mark, those from Denver show a small D under the date, and the San Francisco issues carry an S. Each of these mint marks adds a layer of intrigue for collectors. Coins from Denver and San Francisco, in particular, attract attention due to their potential scarcity and the possibility of rare minting errors. It's these little marks that tell a big story: where the coin was struck, how many were produced, and whether your penny might be a rare variant worth holding on to. Here's where it gets interesting. Most 1973 pennies have been through the ringer, passed from hand to hand, scratched, discolored, worn down over time. But a small number of these coins have been preserved in near-perfect condition. Maybe they were part of a collector's original mint roll, or perhaps they were stashed away and forgotten in a drawer for decades. Whatever the reason, these uncirculated or mint-state pennies retain their original red luster, clean edges, and crisp details. These are the coins that collectors crave, especially those that have been professionally graded. Organizations like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, assess these coins under intense magnification, grading them on a scale from 1 to 70. Coins graded MS 65 or higher, especially with full red coloring, are incredibly rare and valuable. But there's more. Some 1973 Lincoln pennies were struck with errors, double dies, off-center strikes, weak strikes, or even transitional errors where the wrong metal planchet was used. These errors are not supposed to happen, and when they do, they result in one-of-a-kind coins that serious collectors are willing to pay top dollar for. There's even a particular fascination with proof coins, specially minted coins with sharp, mirror-like finishes. Proof pennies from the San Francisco Mint, for example, are highly sought after, especially when they include rare die varieties or oddities. When you combine the right mint mark, exceptional condition, and a rare error or variation, the humble 1973 Lincoln penny transforms from spare change into a prized possession. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. A 1973 Lincoln penny, featuring a mint mark, preserved in superb condition, and boasting all the qualities collectors dream about, sold at auction for an astounding $69,530. Yes, you heard that right. A single penny, something we pass by on sidewalks or toss into jars without a second thought, was valued at $69,530. So the next time you're sorting through your change, don't overlook the pennies. Take a closer look at the date, check for a mint mark, and examine the condition. Because you never know, That ordinary-looking 1973 Lincoln penny might just be your ticket to a small fortune. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of America's most intriguing coins, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more incredible coin stories, and ring that notification bell so you never miss another episode. Thanks for watching, and happy hunting!